Good morning. I feel somewhat scattered this morning since there are so many items catching my attention or vying for my attention. The title that I've selected is Playing Our Roles with Love Leading the Way. And the blurb that I wrote, it was an intense weekend for me, both with workshop and the special meeting I attended last evening. On top of that, I face another appearance in court today. To say there is a lot of introspection going on is an understatement. I have the sense that circumstances in my life are taking me through a greater initiation, a rite of passage from the old paradigm to the new. My challenge, perhaps the challenge for many of us, is to find balance in whatever role we seem called to play. Letting the higher ideals many claim, especially love, bring us to a place of greater authenticity and truthfulness in a world that has been anything but truthful. Where to begin? This was a workshop weekend, and it brought up for me some issues that direct me to deal with them. My sexuality was one of the issues that was coming up for me in the workshop, as that was an issue that other people had. And when other people have it in my environment and they're talking about what's coming up for them, it inevitably comes up for me. That's the way it is, by the way. If you are trusting Spirit to guide you and to lead you to become a more awake, a more aware, a more loving individual, you will find in your environment elements that will take you there. You will be presented with stories that other people tell you and share. You will be drawn into some of the dramas that other people have in their lives, whether you want to be or not. And you will have the opportunity to reflect and to perhaps redefine who you are and how you're going to act and react and respond in the world that you're living in. Because I know that people say it's all inside of you, and that's absolutely true. However, the universe is so designed, our lives are so designed, so that what is inside of us also appears outside of us in various forms and various circumstances. Nothing is accidental in this world, if you can believe that. Maybe some of you can't, but I do believe that nothing is accidental, and the longer that I live, the more I see that there is a relationship between hidden parts of myself or parts of myself that I've not been focusing on, and then what happens outside in the outer world. And as I said, questions of my sexual responses, my sexual limitations, I suppose you could really call them, because I have in a box that my sexuality only belongs in a committed relationship with someone that I can at least envision myself spending the rest of my life with. And I realize how restricting that can be and how it does not allow for just a relaxed playing. So that any time that I would meet a female that I might be interested in engaging in sexuality with, I automatically ask myself the question, is this a person that might be my twin flame or my soulmate or someone that I can spend the rest of my life with? Is this a person that I can commit to on this path of growth? And quite often the answer throughout my life, especially as I've become a little bit more spiritually attuned, is no, I can't. And when I don't see that this is the way, I don't engage in sexuality anymore. I'm out of there. Uh, it's just the way it is. And I've had the opportunity this past weekend and continuing to reflect on that and where I'm going in my life with it. So that's one area of concern, and I bet you that I'm not the only person in this whole world that may be listening to this video who is in a similar situation, questioning your relationships and how you relate to your own life force energy. And sexual energy is life force energy, as I've said before and will say again, because that's the reality of it. Nothing is created in all of the cosmos that is not of a sexual nature. It's an electromagnetic dance, if you will, between apparent opposites, masculine and feminine, light and dark, etc. It's a dance between those opposites that for a long time in our experience has been a duel. Now, you've heard me talk about that before, those of you that listen, and that's how I perceive the reality of human experience. The other issue that came up is one of communication. I was drawn into an intervention last evening. I mean, it wasn't drawn in last evening. The intervention occurred last evening, in which communication issues were brought to the forefront and people's feelings that had been hurt because of poor communication or lack of communication were brought to the surface. And I really didn't even know why I was brought in, because it involved a part of the spiritual community that I'm only on the outskirts of. I'm not really directly involved, although I was invited to come in and participate or observe as I chose, and I did participate some. But it has to do with putting people on a pedestal, because people have a tendency, and I've had the tendency myself, I've noticed it in my own life, to put somebody that's highly respected or holds a position or plays a role of minister, leader, spiritual guru, whatever, and people tend to put them up on a pedestal as if they have all the answers, as if they're supposed to do everything perfectly, as if their humanity is never supposed to show. They're never supposed to get angry. They're never supposed to lose their cool or blow their cover or show their feet of clay. And it was interesting because love was the intent of the whole meeting, and it was plainly stated that we're coming at this from a place of love because there seems to be an issue with how certain things have been said and certain things have been conducted. And I don't want to go into details because they're not my details. They belong to somebody else, and other people are involved, and I'm merely an observer who was invited in to participate. And I chose to emphasize that we are all in this world being put in a place where everything that is uncomfortable, everything that has been hidden, everything of our shadow element, the unconscious part of our being, is being brought to the surface. And this is happening in individual lives, and it's happening collectively. And we are being provided the opportunity to make new choices if that's what we choose to do. And I believe many of us are choosing to make new choices, to move into an area where we do bring greater balance and harmony into our lives and into our actions with others. And I felt that at least for me, the meeting ended very well, although it was a very long day. And I did, thank God, sleep well. Even though I go into court today, I did not lay awake at all thinking about what's going to happen in court or anything like that, or trying to plan the whole thing. It's going to be what it's going to be. And I do have a good feeling about it overall, although I don't know. My my mind does not know exactly what other people are going to do, and I'm not in control. But I have been holding the attorneys and the judge and others that are involved in this whole game. I've been holding them in a place of love, because everything that we that are awakening are being called to do must be done, in my opinion, from a place of love, from a place of as much unconditional love as possible, but also from a place of authenticity, a place of genuine truthfulness. Now, I read some things this morning in one of my emails that I guess came yesterday, uh, responding to the Illuminati, and almost, I didn't read the whole long piece, but I read a good portion of it, and it seemed to be advocating sort of not being drawn in to the world's thing. Well, let me tell you something. I don't buy that. I'm telling you point blank, we are being drawn into the world's thing so that we can help the world heal. And it heals not because we're trying to fix the world and fix other people, but because of what happens to us as we're drawn in, to what kind of responses and reactions we give to the events and the circumstances that we're drawn into, like me being drawn into court. One of the issues that came up is, Ron, if you focused more on love and less on the law and the legal issues, you'd be so much further ahead. Oh, yeah. I would be so much further. I might have mentioned that yesterday. The truth of the matter is, they've been trying to steal my home for 7 years plus. Now, I feel I've secured my home. I feel that I've won the battle. And I feel I'm going to ultimately win the situation that's facing me in the court now with the arrest and driving without a license and all of those issues. I believe that those are also being resolved, and I look forward to the time when I'm no longer having to play lawyer or attorney. I'm no longer having to deal with these issues of the law, because the law is very convoluted. It's very, I mean, as I've looked at it, you can find something that supports almost any position at all. You can find something in the law that says, oh, well, there it is. And so there is no clear-cut thing, because the world is a duplicitous world. It's a world built on lies and fabrications and people trying to control other people. And that is reflected in the laws that have been passed down to us in our human culture. And there is no justice when there's all that duplicity. There is no growth, really, in all the duplicity, until we can wade through the maze and the morass of all the confusion that exists there. And it's not an easy task. And we don't fix it by withdrawing from it and saying, I'm overwhelmed, I got to get out of here. We can do that, and many of us do. Many of us have done that at points in our lives. But I sincerely believe that we are being called in as the salt of the earth, so to speak, to preserve that which is a true ideal, which, like love, is a true ideal. And justice with mercy is a true ideal. And there are these ideals that we have that are really, really important. They are values, and the values have been compromised by the system. So we are being called to be lights in the darkness. And that's not by going and hiding our light somewhere so that we don't get our hands dirty and caught up in processes and in situations that are uncomfortable for us. We're going to be taken out of our comfort zone. No matter what role you're playing, whether it's husband, wife, mother, father, employer, employee, a leader of some sort, or a follower of another sort, whatever roles you're playing, whatever game it is that you're involved in, it has meaning. It has purpose. And the purpose always with the evolution of consciousness is to raise the consciousness, to raise the level. We don't go through necessarily schools of initiation like they did in the past. Some people, those do exist still in the world, but most of the time, life creates the situations for us so that we can go through these rites of passage and these initiations that lead us to a higher plane of awareness and a higher plane of existence on this planet, because we are changing the planet. We are transforming life as it exists for humans and for every other creature on planet Earth. We are going through a metamorphosis. We are going through a change. And anybody that doesn't see that doesn't have their eyes open. The old structures are being challenged as never before. They're cracking, they're crumbling, and you're going to see them fall. That's just the way it is. But there is something in the wings that's new and beautiful, and like a phoenix rising from the ashes, we're going to find ourselves in a world that is much more supportive of the ideals that we've had, all of us, for such a long time. Ideals that have been compromised because of our laziness and our complacency and our unwillingness to go into the shadow and to go into the darker areas. We've been unwilling, and therefore the dark has been able to thrive. But now, as the lights are coming on, light thrives, and darkness automatically flees from the light. Always, always, always. You light the candle, the darkness dissipates. It's just the way it is. So I hope that some of my rambling this morning has been somewhat of an encouragement for you, because we're all going through issues and problems, and we're all being given the opportunity to grow up, to become more authentic, to become more truthful, to become honest with ourselves especially, and to play the roles, that whatever role we're playing at any given moment, to play that role with as much love as we are able to muster. Thank you for listening, and namaste.